Yeah, so I wanted to chat real quick about the Entrepreneurship for Young Architects lecture at the Young Architect Conference that I'm going to be giving in 2 weeks. So this is a presentation that I created. I created it for Puerto Rico. I spoke at the Puerto Rican conference and I created it for them. But I had such a good time creating it and presenting it. I've been giving it kind of around America a little bit. I've learned that my favorite group of people to give this presentation to are actually students. Students eat this lecture up. And I've learned that when I've given this presentation to emerging professionals, people studying for their exams, people trying to climb the ladder and showing up at the cubicle every day, sometimes they can't handle it, it's too much, they don't want to hear it. But really what the beauty of this Entrepreneurship for Young Architects lecture is about is I say I want to talk about entrepreneurship. And everyone's got a different definition of entrepreneurship. Sometimes it's about, just starting a business, or it's about starting a business and selling a business, and like having an escape plan from the very beginning. And so I don't get into any of that. And I say, everyone's got their own definition of entrepreneurship. In my lecture around entrepreneurship, I use it to tell my story, to tell the young architect story of creating this brand, in the website, in the boot camp, and all of the different pieces. I tell the story. And while talking about entrepreneurship, there's 3 principles that I hammer on. Hey, everything all right over there? So there's 3 principles I hammer on. The first one is I talk about trading your time for dollars. How else can we make a living as architects in architecture, doing whatever, that's not selling your time to a client, to an office, to a job, to a boss, to whatever. Selling your time for dollars. I feel like that's how the business of architecture works. Is the client comes along and says, this is my budget, and the firm says this is how long it'll take to do the project, and we're essentially trading our time for dollars. How else can we make a living that's not on an hourly basis? The second principle that I hammer on is establishing multiple streams of income. When the next recession happens, and it will, how else are we going to make a living, and what else can you do that's gonna sustain you to live your life? And so not having all your eggs in one basket and establishing multiple streams of income. The third principle that I hammer on, this is probably the most important one, is about finding a problem to solve, solving it, and monetizing it. How can you solve a problem and be monetarily compensated for it in a good way? And so I tell my whole story about graduating architecture school, working in architecture firms, working as an owner's representative, starting Young Architect, creating, the whole empire of, the boot camp, the academy, the conference, the job board, and all the lectures, and kind of showing how all these different pieces tie together, and it hits those 3 principles, which is about trading your time for dollars, having multiple streams of income, and solving problems and being monetarily compensated for it. And so that's what my entrepreneurship lecture is about. It's not, and I always say, like in the description of the lecture, this is not a lecture about starting a architecture design business, selling design services. That's not what it's about at all. But my goal is to get people to think about those 3 principles. And let me show you what I did and how those ideas relate to my life. And my goal is to just plant seeds. That's it. Just to plant a bunch of seeds and see what happens if people start thinking about these 3 different ideas. We're all different people. And what I did as an entrepreneur doesn't have to be what everyone else does. But there's a lot we could all learn from each other. And so my goal is to just be really transparent and share all that information with people. So yeah, I'm super pumped to give this presentation on Friday at the Young Architect Conference. I love this presentation more than anything, and I feel like I don't get to give it enough. And it always gets a really, really positive response each time I talk about these topics. So that's what's happening, and that's the presentation I'm giving on Friday. I'm pumped, I'm gonna see you there. If you haven't subscribed to this YouTube channel, make sure that you do, because moving forward, I'm going to be cranking out a ton of YouTube content, and I don't want you to miss it. So hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you at the conference. Take care.